Hi, guys. It's Ryan Fowler here with the Inner Game Group. We are live with Jordan Kurtz and Tim Costello. We have a great show for you today. Yesterday, I was watching this interview of Robert Greene, and I must confess, I've never read his book, 48 Laws of Power. He's written several other books about human nature, and I was listening to this interview, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, we have to cover this today because there's so much truth in what he says, and it is so relevant to what we do. I was shocked. I'm like, man, I'm gonna read all his books now. But anyway, so we're gonna dive into that true human nature and how that interplays with our subconscious, what's instinct, what's subconscious, what's cognitive thought processes. Going to be a really interesting discussion today. But before we get to that, Tim and Jordan, welcome to the show. Introduce yourselves.
Yep, I am Tim, copying off of Jordan with my new website, Tim Costello Hypnosis, and just want to, copy after the smart people here. But long story short, all of us talk about becoming your best self, and we help you get there.
All right, and Jordan.
I actually give credit. Ryan's the one who came up with my name, Jordan Kurtz Hypnosis.
Ryan's a freaking genius.
Way back when. You did. You're like, I guess you call yourself something like Jordan Kurtz Hypnosis, something like that. I'm like, yeah, I think that works. So
it's actually, I was Intermasculine and then MindChrysalis, and I got with a marketing guy, and he's like, be Ryan Fowler, SOS Subconscious Optimization. And it's like my suggestion, I guess, was correct, and I was off 2 times. Anyways.
Yeah, using your name, it seems like that's what more people are doing.
It brands you up.
Builds trust with you. But also I have SOS in my name because I want to promote the system, because the system is going to change the world, and it's already changing lives massively. So anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm a hypnotist. This is my logo. You like the new logo? I'm trying to promote it every chance I
like
get.
it. I like it in that part of the screen too.
Oh, good. So I help you find your limiting beliefs, remove them, and amplify the good ones that are lying perhaps dormant inside your subconscious mind.
All right, and for our audience, what we are really about is finding subconscious belief systems deep down in your core that are not serving you, that are holding you back. And we literally put your brain in a state to enhance the neuroplasticity of your brain, and one session rewire several parts of it. You may need more than one session if you have a lot of stuff to rewire, but guess what? You can even rewire stuff all on your own for free at ourschool.com/MindChrysalis platform. That's right there. There's a link. You go there, put your name in, and let me show you right now, there is a free, it's a basic course, but it is a complete course, and we did not pull any punches. It has powerful stuff in it. Go to that link right underneath of me. You get here, there is a community of people supporting each other. And so comments and everything, yep, this guy's struggling, but a lot of people have been changing their lives with this. I get DMs all the time. There's testimonials on here. People using the free stuff, changing their lives. And how do you get the free stuff? Well, you go here, you join, I let you in, and then you go to the classroom. Subconscious Optimization 101. There is a complete free self-hypnosis course for you. There is an ebook on how your subconscious mind works, why it keeps you stuck. If you want to understand the fundamentals of your brain and why you behave the way you do, you're like, why do I procrastinate? Why is it so hard to get certain things done? Why do I self-sabotage? Why do I have anxiety about certain things when it should be no big deal? This is going to explain it to you. There's a table of contents right there. Then there are training videos for free. I did this professionally in a studio. This guy here, I'm trying to avoid professionally recorded. I spent the money. You get it for free. Training you how to do self-hypnosis. There's worksheets that help you locate the maladaptive subconscious programs in your core. That's right here. You download it. You follow the training, the instructions, and then a self-hypnosis audio. You go in, you get those bad beliefs out, and you replace it with the best beliefs, and it changes lives. I've used it to change my life. Tim is married to Carrie Costello. We did a session for her, and she tried 20, 30 times to get a business off the ground, always got stuck, couldn't move forward. How's her business doing now? We did one session. How's her business doing now, Tim?
It's working me to the middle bone here. I'm telling you, man.
Too busy. You guys are backlogged. How many orders? Just with
I probably got about 120 pens still behind, because even when I start getting ahead, people start keep ordering. She's still selling. She's still promoting. So I'm just staying ahead of the game, get 30, 40 pens done each weekend, because I work a lot during the middle of the week, and we just try to plug ahead. Plus we're coming out with new products that require a little bit less of my labor, which will be good. You know, so it's all good.
Hired too.
Yeah.
You guys gotta hire. You guys getting big now, man. It's Carrie quit her corporate job. She now has her dream business, and it's growing leaps and bounds. Is that right?
That's right.
And we did that. She does it. She tried 20 or 30 times, couldn't do it. One session, boom. That's what hypnosis does. It rewires the parts that are keeping you stuck, anxiety, etc. They're gone. Now you have self-belief. You believe in your ability and value. Did it for Tim's wife, and now her business is taking off. Quit her corporate job, doing what she wants now. So go to school.com/MindChrysalis-7138 and rewire your own brain, see how it works. It's all free. If you need a one-on-one session, yeah, those are way more powerful, but you'll be shocked how powerful the free stuff is, because it really is nuclear powered. So,
hey, let's stop for a second and talk about that one comment about the fellow who talks about he tried it and it's not working for him right now. There are some people, and it might even be 20% of the people out there that their brain isn't rigged enough to start identifying what the actual traumas are.
Yeah.
And that is the real key. The real key is dive to the 5 and nailing that. Because once you nail that and identify the trauma, then you'll have a much greater success of removing it and reprogramming. So what this fella probably needs is a session with one of us to get him over the hump, right? Do the first session, get a big one out of the way, show him the process, let him understand how to identify and word up these traumas, and then he can let himself loose and change even more.
Yeah, so the do-it-yourself program, it works for about 80% of people. Some people have complicated internal situations they don't understand, and they need one-on-one guidance. But honestly, I had a guy, I'm about to put up his testimonial. He did my self-hypnosis, the free program. He had 9 out of 10 procrastination. He did one session of the free stuff, permanently down to 3 out of 10. And then he did a session with me, and that's a massive result. Like one session and your procrastination 70% gone permanently. By the way, he was struggling his whole life, and in the last 2 months he's brought in 25 grand for his business.
Yeah.
And he's like, this isn't a coincidence, Ryan. I've had, you're going to see his testimonial because it's coming. I'm finishing the script. I'm probably filming it, I think, tomorrow, most likely. Anyways, then I did a live session for the guy, and it was like 10 times the result. He was shocked. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm reeling. So, what we do is very powerful, and we're going to change the world with it. And you guys are welcome to come along for the ride. You guys can learn this stuff and then use it to help others, or send others to our free website, get the free stuff, help yourself. But yeah, about 20% of people that do it yourself, it won't work because you have some complicated internal stuff you're not able to figure out. So do a one-on-one with us in that case. Regardless, one-on-ones are super, super powerful. So very true, Tim. All right, so we have a great show today. Robert Greene, let me get this up, wrote the book 48 Laws of Power. He also wrote books about mastering yourself, about human nature. You go to his Wikipedia, it shows him all. I don't have all his books memorized, but this guy, man, I watch this, and admittedly, I have not read his most famous book, 48 Laws of Power, but he's had several bestsellers. And after I watch this interview, it's like, all right, I am hooked. So we're going to dive into this. And all I got to say is He doesn't use a lot of fancy technical terms, but pretty much every word coming out of his mouth is true. There might be a little bit I'm gonna, that again, Tim Jordan, say what you want. There might be like 1% I disagree with, and some I want to add to, but holy crap, it was just truth bomb after truth bomb. The thing is we are born in a society that teaches us all this stuff about how humans are or how we should be that is just not true. It's propaganda. It's whatever you want it to call it. It's just not true. Most of what society teaches us about human nature is not true. Robert Greene, pretty much every word that comes out of his mouth about how humans are is actually how we are. And he does it so freaking well. And that's very core. You gotta understand who you are, and you have to accept and embrace who you are and then work with it. And part of that is subconscious beliefs that formed in your childhood not serving you. Rewire those. That's what we do. But then there's a lot of us that's just our nature, just our instinct. Learn to accept with that, work with that, make it work for you. And man, you can have a great life then. But you got to understand first. So we're going to dive in. Here's Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, and among all his other books. Here we go. This is awesome.
Robert, you wrote a book about human nature in 2018 called The Laws of Human Nature. Why did you write that book?
Well, it's the fruit of a lot of experiences that I've had. So I wrote the 48 Laws of Power, and prior to that book, I was somebody who never had any power in life. I was sort of a
Okay, right off the bat, this is important. Listen to this for you guys who are struggling.
failure. I had gone through so many different jobs. And then all of a sudden I write this one book and people are coming to me for advice. It's kind of shocking, right? And I started noticing a trend.
So right off the bat, for you guys still struggling in life, he wrote the book 48 Laws of Power at 39. He struggled in life. He considered himself a loser and a failure until then. And then that book hit #1, sold millions of copies, and so have all of his other books. Now he's a big success. For those of you who are still struggling in life, let's rewire your belief systems, your subconscious, but understand struggling doesn't make you a loser, doesn't make you a failure. Big success can be around the corner if you put in consistent effort and you believe in your ability and value. He did it at 39, and now he's mega successful, but we'll keep going. So don't lose hope for those of you who are struggling. You can be mega successful 2, 5, 10, 20 years from now. You hit your big success. It doesn't mean all of a sudden your human nature or your intrinsic value changed. It just means the outside world caught up to you, to the value that's in you. Okay, we'll keep going. If you have the belief to do the work and be persistent.
And the trend is we live in this intense technological age where we have so much power at our fingertips, right? And it's so easy to get attention and on and on. And we have this idea that everything in life should be easy. It's all about just, well, if I apply myself really hard, I should be successful. But I kept noticing this blind spot that people had. They were terrible in dealing with people. They were making all of these mistakes. Everybody wears a mask. You wear a mask, I wear a mask when we're out in the public realm. We don't exactly say what we think, right? We're all a bit strategic. And if you're not careful, you're constantly saying the wrong things. You're constantly misreading people. You're doing things at your job that you think are going to impress, but they have the opposite effect. And then something bad happens and you're confused and you're emotional. It was like this circle atmosphere of pain around the globe of people suffering because they don't know how to handle the people in their lives. And because we're so virtual and we're so locked in our phones, that we're becoming worse and worse at reading other people, at understanding them. When I'm sitting across from you, I can see your body language. I can see your nonverbals. I can see all sorts of things. I can deal with you as a human. But when I spend 95% of my time behind a screen, and that's even how I date, basic human skills of understanding, of connecting, of empathy, of reading, they're getting hopelessly degraded. That's my long-winded answer for why I wrote that book.
if there's someone listening out there and they can relate to certain parts of what you've just said, maybe it's a lack of their own self-awareness, or maybe they have.
I just want to comment on that right there. There is a course out, John, Modern Life Dating. He has a course on body language mastery. I took the course, and reading other people's body language is one of the most important skills you can develop, because later on, Robert Greene here says body language doesn't lie, or it's very, very hard to lie with body language. And even the people who are experts at it, you will still see them slip up and see their true body language and know what they really mean. So look at John MLD's body language I think it's 3.0 course.
He's at 4.
Very, very, very awesome skill to develop. But yeah, you guys had something.
Well, that's where
Go ahead,
Ryan and I
Jordan.
met. I was going to say
What's that?
that's where you and I met.
Yeah. And man, now you guys who are confused with women, learn to read body language. It'll become a lot more clear. It's not the only thing you need to know, but you're on a date and she's saying one thing and then looking away or just whatever she's doing. It's just funny, man. I walk down the street. I'm not saying it happens all the time, like I'm this super handsome Greek god or anything. You know, I'm decent, but walking down the street, making eye contact with a girl, and she kind of starts grooming. It's like she thinks I'm hot. That just happened the other day. It was awesome. Because, dude, it's body language. They do it subconsciously.
Yep.
That's how, if you read body language, you'll see how people really feel and what they're real. It's kind of like low level mind reading. It is. It's awesome.
So this thing of doing the hair when they make eye contact with you and they think that you're attractive, the reason they do that is they're hiding themselves a little bit and sort of shyly saying, I am the flower.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're also grooming.
Yeah. Well, they're a little bit of, I got to do something because I'm sort of in awe of what this thing I just saw. It's it's human nature. Now, let's talk a little bit about what Robert Greene just said. He talked about people struggling dealing with people. Why? The reason they struggle, and the reason he struggled before he put into words all of his struggles, right? His observations of what was going on and all his failures, if you will, as he was moving through his career, was a lack of authenticity. You know, Ryan talks about it's really important to understand this body language, so you at least know what people are subconsciously saying to you. But what's even more important to that, before that, is to know what you're subconsciously saying to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Ryan, I know him way back.
Strategic reasons people aren't just say whatever's on their mind. And we all do it, ourselves included. There's strategic reasons for that. If I get mad at someone and I tell them to F off because that's what I'm thinking and they're a piece of crap or whatever, he may punch me in the face. Now we're in a fight, Yep. So yeah.
So the mask that he talks about wearing is the mask of protection. Yep. Ryan, you just mentioned it, right? So you're out there in public and you're interacting in different areas. You need to put on your mask so that you don't get hurt. And he even mentioned how awful people are at dealing with other people. Why? Generally because they don't know their true, authentic self, because there's so much trauma overwhelming their thought process trying to protect themselves. So they're not able to read. They're not able to process. They're always thinking about, what am I going to say next? What's they going to do next? Et cetera, et cetera. So as we wander through this, you're going to notice a number of things from this guy where he talks about really not knowing the essence of your true, authentic self. Because if you're confident and you know who you are and you got your value, you will stand on your principles. You will live within your frame. And if other people don't fit into that frame, you know exactly how to deal with them.
Yeah. And the book he's talking about that he wrote is called The Laws of Human Nature. Everyone should understand how humans really are. And society gives us a big lie about the nature of men and the nature of women, or they'll say certain aspects of men and women are wrong or bad. You should be this way. You shouldn't be XYZ, you should be ABC. That's acceptable. How dare you do X? You know, how dare you be Z? When in actuality, those things are just true, actual human nature. You know, so his book, The Laws of Human Nature, goes into what human nature really is. And if you want to understand yourself and others, so you're not confused by these lies that society tells us, you know, society sugarcoat stuff. You know, Alex Hormozy said something. I was watching a video, and he said other people will tell you things that they kind of package as being helpful to you, but they're really giving you advice to get you to behave in a way that serves them. And that's most people's helpful friendly.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I learned a long time ago.
Nature, you know,
literally 35 years ago, I learned, and I came up with this little phrase, and that's everybody has an agenda.
And that's human
Period.
nature.
It's human nature. They can't get away from it.
And honestly, everyone should be looking out for their own best interest, because if you don't, no one else will. Maybe when you're a child, if you have good parents, they will. Other than that, no one will. You should look out for your best interest in a way that's fair to others, you know, for in the long run, because if you're taking advantage of others, you make enemies.
That's
and
correct.
Listen, man, I've seen people who made millions of dollars and lost millions of dollars, or got sued, or, you know, because they made enemies because they weren't fair to others. It's so serve your self-interest in a way that's fair to others, that benefits everyone. That's the best way to do it. But it's critically important to understand human nature. Now, Robert Greene is going to get into actual aspects of human nature that we're going to comment further on. But you got to understand how things really are with human nature, so you can understand yourself, the parts of you otherwise are ashamed of or want to hide. You got to learn to accept it. This is who I am as a human. And others, so you understand others' motivations and can more successfully navigate this world, and also accept other people for who they are. Hey, this is human nature. This is how people are. I accept it. You know, it doesn't mean I'm going to let someone take advantage of me, but I understand it and accept it. Now I can use it for my benefit, for others' benefit too. All right, we'll keep going. Good points, Tim.
Poor sort of awareness of others. Is there a starting place to reversing that? Is there maybe a most important skill that we need to master as at the foundation of that transformation?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's to get down on your hands and knees and realize you're bad at dealing with people. The problem that you have is you think that it's a natural skill. Yeah, I'm okay at it. I just kind of wing it. I understand what I'm doing. I'm a human being. I know how to read people, etc. You don't. You're operating in darkness. You're groping around. Just realize, first of all, that you need this skill. And once you realize that, the first thing you do is you look inward. You look at your own nature.
First thing, look inward. That's what we're all about. Before you conquer the outside world, get your inner world right.
And what's he doing by looking inward?
Must have. Go ahead.
What's he doing by looking inward? He is now starting to look at your identity, because just like James Clear points out, any lasting real difference is changing your core identity.
Yeah, the book Atomic Habits, James Clear goes into that. And he's going to talk about looking at your shadow. Carl Jung, the father of modern psychoanalysis, coined that term. He's going to go into all sorts of good stuff. Understand yourself and then optimize your internal world. And that's what we help people with, because we make bigger changes faster than honestly anyone else I know. That's what we do. Big, deep changes, fast, permanent.
What do you think about so I want to phrase this. He keeps talking about you won't be able to read or understand people. That's his big. I don't. And maybe he's
by default you won't. You can learn it. It's a skill you can learn.
And see, this
and
is
honestly,
where
I think women are kind of naturally good at it. They're way better than guys are. For guys, I think we do. Most men are going to have to study this and learn it.
Well, it's just I find he's moving very quickly over a lot of different subjects. He's moving, and this is where I'm a little. I wish he would slow down sometimes. Is where he goes.
That's why we have a job,
He wants you to read his book and
comment
buy it.
further.
Exactly.
Just remember, it's a 2-hour podcast with the other guy asking questions, and his book of the laws of human nature alone is 28 hours long.
Yeah,
There's a
Pretty
lot of
good.
information to crunch it all down.
man, I'm
So
gonna
his
listen
big
to
point
that
was
today and tomorrow.
he's like, you need to, but it's language like you need to get on your hands and knees and realize, like, why do you need to phrase it that way? I
It's
don't.
the way he does. It's
for
just-
for emotional impact and effect.
I guess, but I'm not even sure. Like,
important.
what is that? Like you're praying to something? I don't understand.
No. It means to humble yourself
Exactly.
and understand you don't know what you don't know.
He's painting
It's
a
okay.
picture because painting a picture has more emotional impact, and the more emotional impact, the more likely you are to actually take it to heart and do it and use it.
Really?
So-
Well, are you sure? Because sometimes I
That's-
just feel like
that's
that kind of
my take.
language will turn some people off. I feel like people will be like, this guy's like, I'm not getting on my, like, I just don't see dudes being like, I'm going to do that. I just don't think, I mean, everyone's different. I mean,
You
tell
know,
me if I'm wrong in the chat, but like,
you didn't see Ryan 18 years ago, and I can promise you, he's probably had a couple of moments where he was on his knees
I've had moments I've gotten
begging,
on my hands
begging
and
for clarity somewhere.
but if somebody presented the ideas that way to Ryan, not that he wouldn't want to do it, but I don't know if that's how you should package the idea to somebody.
He's not marketing his book. He wants you to read it.
yeah.
Well,
He's selling
But-
books, man. He's an
that's
author.
true. That's true.
You raise an interesting point, Jordan, because sometimes people communicate stuff to us in a way we really don't like. Sometimes they're yelling at us or
Yeah.
shaming
Look at
us, or doing stuff that just makes it like, yeah, to hell with this person. But if you're able to pause and say, okay, is there any truth to this that I can use to change myself and benefit? Then, and if you can divorce your ego from that and just, one of the reasons we get into people's core that you have massive self-worth just for who you are. You don't need to do or say anything to have this value or self-worth. You just have it. And if others don't see your value, it just means they can't see it. What that does is that puts you in a position where it's like, I can look at this flaw in me without it hurting my self-worth.
Yeah.
Which makes it much easier instead of, yeah, to hell with that guy, or I'm going to ignore that, or I feel bad now, I'm going to go get drunk, or just whatever. You're good. You're solid. That doesn't affect your value. You having flaws. Welcome to the human race. So we get that in your core. And now you can just objectively look, oh, is there some truth to that? Can I tweak some? Oh, you know what? They're just full of crap. All right, toss it out. Or you know what? They do have a point. And without getting your ego, your self-worth in the way, because we put in your core in hypnosis that your worth is independent of all that. It's not affected by that. Look at it objectively. And maybe you don't like how it's delivered. Maybe the delivery was flat out shit. But if there is truth, you can just pick that grain of truth out, throw the other shit away, use it to benefit your life.
Well, I like how Tim put it. Just humble yourself and be willing to look internally. That's all you got to say. But so that's my opinion,
And again, he was a failure before he was an author. So
yes.
this is his deal. I mean, he's literally 2 years older than me. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we come from the same world, which was the 60s, which was the beginning of the explosion of subconscious trauma. So here's a guy who suffered with that, probably still now. And luckily, somehow I've escaped a lot of it. Who knows why?
Yeah. You had good parents. That's why. I've met your parents. They're great people. So Evans Claveau, welcome to the show. And thanks for your comments. Yeah, after the rain comes the sun. And life goes in cycles. You have ups and downs. Everyone does.
Yep.
Some more than others. You can affect your world, but we can't 100% control everything that happens to us. Things go in cycles. After the rain is the sun. All right, we'll keep going.
Right.
Nature. You look at the things that I write about in the book about narcissism,
Can't see him, Ryan.
about irrationality.
Strange. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. It's because, boom. Here we go. All right. Rock and roll.
And instead of searching for the people around you that fit those categories, look at yourself. So it all begins with self-awareness. You are the best subject of human nature. So when I was writing this book, it was actually quite painful. So I'm writing a chapter on narcissism, one of the longest chapters in the book. It's a very important subject.
Indeed it is.
Yes.
And I'm telling myself,
Everyone should understand sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissism, borderline personality disorder, so you can spot the signs and get the hell away from those people. But honestly, if your internal world is good, you naturally kind of are repelled by those people. So,
You know, the reason
maybe not at
narcissism,
first, but as their stuff comes out, you will be. Trust me.
the reason narcissism is such a fantastic and long and deep topic is because its practice is so destructive to the human soul.
Yeah.
So it is important to recognize it. I had a client, and even though we went through all we went through, and I recommend they stay away from these people, that human nature takes you back to, I want to help them. I want to help them get better. Run away as far, as hard as you can, and stay away. Love them from a distance. Do what you ever got to do, but stay away, because they are experts at doing what they do beyond your capability to understand.
You cannot fix other people. They have the power to fix themselves if they choose. They need, need the right knowledge to unlock the power, and then you need the willingness to apply it. We give you the knowledge.
And I would argue that, and I'll add on to what Tim said, those experts are very good at making it seem like they're not doing it, like slowly bringing you in almost so that you can't even detect it.
That's right.
And then you realize, oh crap, I feel really crummy. How did I get,
how you detect it
here?
On the money, baby.
So,
you listen to your gut. Hey, something's off here, and I feel kind of icky around this person.
You know, if someone's just screaming at you, you know, just like beating on you, it's like, okay, it's pretty obvious that they're doing something wrong.
They're very covert in their methods.
It's a lot harder to detect when it's, like you said, covert, when it's slow, when not everything they do is wrong, or even some of the things they could do seem like they're even good. It's when they sprinkle in those little elements of narcissism and selfishness. It's just, it's wrapped in something that could be good, and that's what makes it harder to see for people. And that's why I think some people don't realize they have a problem with the people they're dealing with, because they'll rationalize, oh, well, X, Y, and Z are good, so this probably isn't that bad, right? You know, if someone's just beating on you and always verbally abusive, you can very easily see that. It's a lot harder when it's packaged in good, potentially like actually good things,
So Carrie, my wife, had a narcissistic mother along with a very codependent father, right? So we started watching this show, and it was called Apples Never Fall. I think it's on Apple Plus or Netflix, or I don't remember where it was, but it's called Apples Never Fall. The cast was phenomenal. The story was terribly told, but Carrie recognized right off the bat, oh crap, there's my mom. Oh crap, there's my dad. She never would have said that 5 years ago, but now she sees it immediately.
Because when you fix someone's internal world, it's like if you're a goldfish born, or you're a fish born in a dirty pond, that dirty water's all you know. It's your normal. Take that fish out of the dirty pond, put them in a clean one, and then reintroduce them to the dirty pond. They're like, oh my goodness, what the hell is this?
That's right.
So when you clean out your internal world, which is what we do, try the free program right there. You'll see the whole thing when I, change the screen format. Clean out your world, and then when this dirtiness comes along, it's going to be much more striking.
Yes.
And
on the money.
Robert Greene is talking about becoming self-aware. You learn about human nature, your human nature, other people's. You clean out your inner world. You gain this awareness, and it is so key. It is so freaking key to up-leveling your life to having control. And the more you go inward and fix stuff, the more self-aware you become. But also what you guys got to understand, our subconscious mind processes, this is neuroscience, it's been measured on fMRI machines, processes 1,000 times more per second than our conscious mind. When you meet someone, your subconscious will notice their heart rate, their breathing patterns. There's something called reverse speech, where sometimes subconscious intentions are actually implanted in speech if you play it backwards. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on that your subconscious mind notices and your conscious mind doesn't. And then what happens if there's some danger there with this other person, your subconscious mind will put this all together and give you a gut feeling. So you pay attention to your gut, but the cleaner your internal world is, because you went in and got rid of bad subconscious programs, toxic shame, all that other stuff we talk about, the stronger a connection you build with your internal world, and the more this subconscious mind is serving you and like giving you impressions and intuition that's actually clean and good. And it is like really, it's like a sixth sense. It's almost, it's almost kind of psychic. Like you just get a vibe about someone and you're like, why am I feeling that way? I just barely met him. And then it turns out you get to know him better. And 2-3 months down the road, you're like, holy crap, that person is a straight up sociopath. And my subconscious detected and gave me a gut instinct like within a minute or less.
So when you remove your own subconscious trauma and you fill it back in with something that serves you, all of a sudden you have the ability to be aware and detect. And now the things that are driven, your emotion, your instinct, and your intuition is much more attuned.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. So this is a good question, Vin. Here, remove the ego part. And see, the thing, ego is our sense of self-importance. Really what you want to do is you want to have that sense of self-importance not tied to whether you succeed or fail, or whether you have flaws or not, or whether someone sees your value or not. Just make it, I have value just for who I am. And then it's not threatened by these other things that can happen where we fail or succeed. Now, what are your opinions on thoughts to implement removing the ego? Well, so what I just said is we don't really remove it. We make your belief about your value, about your worth, independent of succeeding, failing, people rejecting you or not, what you do or don't do. Make your self-worth intrinsic, independent of that. And this other stuff now doesn't threaten your ego.
So it's important to understand what the ego actually is. And in very simple terms, the ego is what you put out to the world. It is your conscious effort of, here's who I am. Now, sadly, a lot of that of here's who I am is based upon your subconscious. Well, 95% of it is, right? So if 95% of your self-worth is based upon your subconscious thoughts, then what's going to show outward will be your ego, which is your conscious effort to show the world what you're about. If there's a lot of pain in your subconscious, you're going to do a number of things to portray to the world that pain isn't there. And it's very hard to do. And you could say that the ego is the outward showing of the house, and the subconscious is the foundation making that go. For a while, it may look good. For a while, you may be able to even fool yourself that you're worth more than you think you are to the world. And then you're using their input to say, this is what real worth is, but it's a facade, and it eventually will fall apart. So when you fix your subconscious, then your ego gets better as well, because you build yourself an internal frame that now can show to the world your true value.
Yeah, your ego is not shaken by others rejecting you, by others disapproving of you,
right.
by you didn't do what you should, or you're afraid to fail. All of that's gone because your ego isn't relying on getting that approval from external sources.
So my point was, you don't remove your ego. You fix your ego to trueness and authenticity by fixing the underpinnings of what's going on in your brain.
Yeah, I don't get the question. I'm trying. And
I
then if you
get
could
it.
clarify it, it's what are your opinions on which thought or thoughts to implement at the moment of removing the ego? I don't understand.
We don't remove the ego.
We don't take the ego away.
But why are you
It-
trying to remove the ego? I don't know what that. I think
people misunderstand what ego is. I see where he's coming from, and it's a misunderstanding what the ego is, but it's a common misunderstanding.
I think what he's aiming at is if your ego has negative, maladaptive subconscious programs that are affecting you in some way, and what do you do about the thoughts to implement it? It's what are your opinions on which thoughts or thoughts to implement? Well, you're not. But that's the CBT model a little bit. It's you're reacting.
It's not even correct from the CBT standpoint. It isn't.
Right.
But it's like
the key is that, and I think it's probably a poorly worded question based upon a misunderstanding of what the ego is. But
yeah,
we don't remove any thoughts. What we remove or clear out are subconscious maladaptive programs.
beliefs.
To use Jordan's word all the time. When you get rid of that program, you still have the memory of what happened in your life, because we can't take those away, but you now no longer have that emotional traumatic underpinning to that belief or narrative. We change that belief or narrative to know that you are worth something, that you are worth $1 million without having to do anything. Nobody can say anything to you to take away that worth. So we don't remove the thoughts. We, in order to fix the ego, which is that outward thrust of the world, then you fix the underpinnings and make the foundation strong and give it a good inner game.
Okay, so I want to give further clarity on ego. Our brain has ego, id, alter ego. Robert Greene understands this because he's written a book about human nature. These three parts of our psyche are human nature. You're not getting rid of them, but you can optimize them. So we can make ego is, our sense of self-importance. You can make that independent of whether you succeed or fail or what other people think of you. You can be your own source of validation, love, and approval. We all have an ego. We all have a need to feel we're worth something, to feel we're validated, approved of, etc. You don't want that ego dependent on the outside world because it causes all this maladaptive stuff. We are not getting rid of the ego. It's part of who we are as humans, but we can get it in a good spot where it serves us.
Let me toss an example out there of real world experience. My mother-in-law, who was damaged as a child, emotionally, verbally, whatever it happened to be, and she had zero self-worth in herself. So what she did is she looked at the things of the world that were important to other people. And because she had no self-internal validation, she now had to go find what other people thought were valuable, put those things on her. What car do you drive? What golf club do you belong to? What dress do you wear? What shoes do you wear? Who does your hair? What makeup are you wearing? What purse are you carrying? I mean, all those type of things. And she would live for somebody saying, "Oh, Betty, I love your purse. Oh, Betty, your hair is wonderful. Oh, Betty." But the problem was there's not enough compliments to fill her up. It's a never-ending hole. She never had internal validation.
And if other people don't compliment her, if other people disapprove of her, it is devastating to her ego.
Yes.
So everyone needs to feel important. Everyone needs to feel good enough, love. That is our ego, our need for that.
Yep.
You can make it so your ego, your sense of self-worth, validation, importance is not dependent on outside things. And if it is, you cannot control everything that goes on in the outside world. You cannot control what other people do, which means you are literally giving your power to them. They now determine how much you're worth.
That's right.
If you rely on the outside world.
Correct.
So we all have an ego. Everyone needs love, validation, approval. Everyone needs to feel worthwhile. That is human nature. You're not getting rid of your ego, but you can optimize it so it's not dependent on what others think of you, whether you succeed or fail, etc. There's just a part of you that has value just for what it is. That's what we do. Now, Berta had a comment. I guess you have a fan, Tim.
At least
She has
one.
a hard time accepting she can even be hypnotized. She feels she's not being negative. She's just trying to understand how she can be hypnotized. Well, everyone's hypnotized twice a day. When you first wake up in the morning, you're awake, but you're not fully there, or you're about to fall asleep at night. If you're in a very relaxed state, you're in a state of hypnosis. Now, the only time our methods can't help people is you disconnect from your feelings and we cannot get you reconnected. So don't think about, oh, I can be hypnotized or I can't. Think about, are you able to connect to negative feelings in you or anxieties or whatever? Or are you, some people are just so emotionally shut down. There's about 5% of people I cannot help.
Yep.
At least not right off the bat, maybe after some remedial work. And these people we can't help, we don't look at, can they be hypnotized? Can they not? We look at, oh, this person's so shut down, they can't even feel their negative feelings. They're just like a robot. And you'll see it in their affect, the way they talk. Or some people are just very, very rigid. Things have to be this way. And they don't want to change their belief systems. Their belief systems are so rigid and set in stone. They're unwilling to change those belief systems. They want the benefit of what we have to offer, but what we offer only works if you change your belief systems. If you're not willing, you won't get the benefit. Those are the two types of people we can't help. So think about that. Don't think about whether you can be hypnotized or not, because honestly, everyone.
Right.
Well, I took that. The way I interpreted her question was she's concerned, like, can she even achieve the state of hypnosis at all? And I think the first thing is like, I have a hard time accepting that I can be hypnotized. Well, that's probably why you're struggling to be hypnotized. If you don't think you can, you probably won't be. Clients have to, they have to give, I don't want to use the word consent, but they have to agree to be hypnotized. You can't hypnotize someone who doesn't want to be hypnotized.
So it's important to understand, and you're right, Jordan, 100%. And you're on the money always, Ryan.
Thank you.
Hypnosis just simply means a state of relaxation. So if any single one of us were driving down the road, operating your motor vehicle, a 4,000-pound missile driving down the road, and you sort of zone out, you're hearing a song on the radio, the scenery is gorgeous, whatever, and then 40 or 50 seconds later, you sort of come back to what's going on because maybe you got a stoplight or there's a McDonald's you want to stop at or whatever. You were hypnotized.
Or you daydream.
Yeah, you were just simply relaxed. So all we do in hypnosis is we get the conscious mind to relax. And I have yet to not be able to hypnotize somebody, right? Everybody that I've gotten in a session with, they have shocked themselves at being hypnotized. In fact, a fellow I did that was over in Bosnia, he said, hey, I spent $50,000 and all these other graduates of phenomenal hypnosis courses couldn't hypnotize me. 2.5 hours later, he came out of hypnosis and he goes, did it work? I said, you tell me. Man, he was the bomb after that. I even asked him, I said, how long do you think we were in hypnosis? And he says, 30 minutes, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
He was relaxed.
Your sense of time gets distorted. I've had multiple people tell me, oh, I don't think I was hypnotized. And then you got to this part in the session and it's like, holy crap, so a lot of people are hypnotized and they don't even realize it. Like when you are lying down at night and you're just a couple minutes from falling asleep, you're in this relaxed state. Are you thinking, oh, I'm in hypnosis right now? Well, no, you're just like, I'm just, relaxed. You're in hypnosis. So a lot of people don't realize what it is. They think, oh, I'm going to be in this crazy state where I'm going to see psychedelic images everywhere. And it's like, no, that's not hypnosis. So
in fact, the interesting thing is I tell people when you're in hypnosis, number one, you will hear everything I say and you're going to be able to remember it and repeat it back. The second thing is I'm never able to get you to do something you don't want to do. And everybody's afraid of clucking like a chicken, right? Because that's the stage comedic hypnosis going on. those people want to cluck like a chicken. They want to get on stage.
They want to do it
anyways.
anyways.
They wanted to do it. So they're very willing to be hypnotized and cluck like a chicken.
And if they don't want to do it, the hypnotist sits them down. You'll see like 20 people come up. By the end of the show, half of them sat down. Why? Because that half is not going along with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't going along with the hypno guy. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, so I'll add also, I think this is important how we define terms with how a hypnosis session works. So she says, I tried it in the past. I never felt it worked. Well, so let's be clear about how a hypnosis session is. There's something called an induction, which gets you hypnotized. There's the portion of the session where you're actually doing the work when you're under hypnosis. And then they emerge you out of hypnosis. So those are the three parts. If you felt like it didn't work, it could be the induction didn't get you hypnotized, or it could also be the suggestions they used when the hypnotist was doing the work wasn't effective. So that's
probably it.
Yeah,
there are two pieces of that.
There's a lot of crap hypnosis out there. Right. The majority is not effective.
And they're well-meaning, but if they're just giving you general suggestions without removing the actual issues first, it's not going to be effective because you're getting contradictory programs trying to be put in your head. Your brain doesn't understand it, and so it just defaults to what it already had. So that could also be what's going on.
Yeah, even Andrew Huberman, the Stanford neuroscientist, he talks about what needs to be present for neuroplasticity, which is the ability to change the subconscious mind. If you don't take something out, you can't put something in. So we have to clear the trauma out so we can put the good stuff in. You can't just, Ryan often says, pretend you got a bucket of tar, right? You got to scoop some tar out in order to put some water in.
Some clean water.
Doesn't just work.
Otherwise, you pour the clean water and a little get in. Most of it just spills out because the tar's there.
Yeah, it just runs off.
So about a month ago, Berta, we did a show where we analyzed Dr. Andrew Huberman, Stanford neuroscientist, and has an extremely popular podcast on YouTube. His stuff is great. All of his stuff. And by the way, Andrew Huberman is a huge fan of hypnosis. And so is his colleague, Dr. David Spiegel, who's a psychiatrist, a chairman of several boards at Stanford, and he's huge into hypnosis too. And so about a month ago, Dr. Huberman was talking about neuroplasticity, which is the ability to put our brain in it doesn't happen automatically. We put our brain in a state that it can then literally rewire itself. And he talks about the things that must be present and the things that must happen. And only if these certain things are present and these steps are followed does our brain become kind of like soft clay where it can rewire these deep belief systems. We do that. We follow those steps. And part of it, like Tim said, is you have to find a belief in you that doesn't serve you, that's painful. We call it psychological trauma. You got to get that out and then put good stuff in. And a lot of hypnotists don't understand this concept. They don't get the bad out. They're just giving you like nice suggestions. It won't get in and Dr. Huberman goes in that. He's like, listen, if you already have a belief system in your brain, that needs to be removed before you can put a new one in. And that's what Tim's talking about. So hypnosis is kind of like saying I paint with oils or I paint with watercolors. It's kind of the medium we use. But then what you're actually painting is what, the methods you use when you're painting is very important. So some people say they're hypnotists, but it's like saying they paint with oils. They can be an absolutely terrible oil painter as opposed to someone who's very effective, who uses all the best techniques to get, a masterpiece done or a good painting done. So I know we're going way too much into detail. We'll get back to Robert Greene. But I want to answer your question. And also, just so you guys know, you go down in the comment section, you can schedule a 30-minute free consult with me. There's a link there. You can also contact Tim or Jordan if you want to talk to them. I'll talk to you for free for 30 minutes. Answer your questions one-on-one. Go ahead.
You can also make a post in the school that we have.
Join our
Answer
school
the questionnaire,
community.
too.
Berta, join our school community. It's right here. And there's free self-hypnosis course where it's done the right way. Oops. It's right there. Right there. And again, that is in the description. And try it out. And ask us questions. You can DM us on theschool.com MindChrysalis you see there. And P-Dubs, welcome to the show, my man. So anything else, guys, before we move on?
No, let's roll, man. We're out of time already.
Rock
This
and
is
roll.
fast.
Okay, we got to get through this because this is amazing stuff. So we're going to
Yep.
play it a little faster and interrupt him less. Here we go.
Robert, you're quite a narcissist. You didn't think of yourself that way, but you have all of these classic tendencies that you're writing about.
By
in
the way,
book.
everyone has some narcissistic tendency. Doesn't make you a narcissist. We'll keep going.
Yep.
It was painful. But in order to come to understand narcissism in other people, I had to sort of understand it in myself. So step number one is, I need this knowledge. I'm actually not very good with dealing with people. It's caused me problems. Go back and review the problems and the mistakes you've made. Mistakes I've made as well, many, many times. And then when you realize that you want this knowledge, then you begin by looking inward. But if you think that it's not needed, that you're not, it's just, oh, it's kind of interesting, or maybe I'll sort of dabble in it, it won't mean anything to you. You have to feel that pain that you've been through in life. And it's kind of an ongoing pain. It's one that I still have, even though I wrote the book, where I misread people, where I inadvertently hurt them when I didn't mean to hurt them.
That can actually, that pain he's talking about now, that can be removed. We remove that and then you feel neutral, but we'll keep going. So, Robert, hit me up, Robert. I'll get rid of that pain for you. I've done it all the time. We'll keep going.
You know, and I feel that and I suffer from it. And so the pain that you feel, the emotions
that's toxic shame. We can get rid of that.
Turns out motivate you then to become better at understanding other people.
What if you find things in yourself, like you said, that you don't like? You find narcissism in yourself. You find darkness in yourself. What are we meant to do with that? Are we meant to heal it, resolve it?
You're meant to look at it. You're meant to confront it. I mean, I have in the book.
You had a comment, Jordan? This part's really important.
You're meant to resolve it. Just that's all I had to say.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Parts of who we are is our human nature. And we're taught that parts of our human nature are bad. They're not. So parts of us are just hardwired into us. Like men and women, it's hardwired into us to have sex. That's how we continue the human race. I was raised to believe that sex was bad, evil, wrong. How dare I have a lustful thought? I should be ashamed of myself. That is, but in actuality, that's our human nature. And some parts of us, it's instinct. You can't suppress that. I mean, you can, but it causes big problems if you suppress it. So parts of who we are, learn what is our true nature and just accept and embrace it. It's not bad. We are the dominant species on the planet by far. And I believe we have eternal souls, all of that. Embrace your nature, but then there's other parts that are subconscious beliefs that are not serving us. Those we can fix. So getting this self-awareness, learning who we are, is going to help us understand what is our nature. That should just be accepted, embraced, loved. It's not changing. It's not bad. Learn how to use it properly, and then understand which parts of us are bad, painful, subconscious beliefs, toxic shame, etc. Again, my ebook talks about this. So if you want the understanding, get my free ebook on school.com and that in the free classroom course. Get his book. His books are amazing. Understand this part of you and embrace the human nature. But if it's a belief system not serving you, change that. He's saying right now he still has this pain, means he has toxic shame. That, I'll tell you right now, you can fix. Because I used to have really bad manic depression. I used to have CPTSD. I used to have general anxiety disorder. I used to have trapped, internalized rage and resentment towards myself, others, parents, etc. And fix all of that. And we do, and we got a free program for you guys. But it starts with knowing what is what in you and being aware and not running away from this, which people want to do. We want to run away from these parts of ourselves we think is bad.
Yeah, let me add something to what Ryan's saying is if you have this anxiety, procrastination, depression, and even addiction, your brain except for maybe a very small percentage of the people, and maybe them too a little bit, your brain is acting 100% on track. It is a fully functioning, well-functioning brain. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to do what it thinks is good for you, even though it's maladaptive and even though it doesn't serve you. It's trying to protect you. Realize that. You just got to rewire it so it really can help you out.
All right, now we really need to get. We've watched like 5 minutes of this, like 5.5 minutes.
We have to get this guy up next week too.
We're gonna have to do another show on this, but let's get through this because this is super important. What's that?
We could do part 2.
Yeah, I think we need to. We'll keep going.
A good quote from the great writer Anton Chekhov that people can't begin to change themselves until they know who they are, until they understand themselves, right? Yep. So we all want to change. We all want to be better at ourselves. But until we know who we are, until we realize our flaws and our weaknesses. So the main law of human nature, if I could summarize it, is we don't like to look at ourselves. It's always the other person. They're the ones with the problem. They're the ones who are aggressive or passive aggressive. They're the ones who feel envy. They're the ones who are rational. But me, no, I'm a paragon of virtue. I'm always moral. I'm always good. I'm always smart, etc. So it's the point isn't to beat yourself up and go, damn it, I'm an awful human being.
That's feminism and the victim mindset. Both of them fit that description, unfortunately.
Yep. We're all humans, come from the same source. We all have the same ancestors. We all have the same flaws in our brain. It's not like you're exceptional. It's not like you're the one person that doesn't have a narcissism, that doesn't have self-absorption. So realizing that you're connected to all these people, that we all have these flaws and weaknesses is actually not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And then by examining yourself deeply, you can begin to change some of these things. You know, it's just like I don't go like, oh, damn it, I'm a narcissist. I'm self-absorbed. I think a lot about myself. I love talking about myself, which is something I'm afraid I do like to do, right? The point isn't, well, I'm just depressed. There's nothing I can do. Once I'm aware of it, I can begin to change it. But if I'm always repressing it,
and you can really change it with our methods that just accelerate everything so massively.
I argue that if you're seeing all those flaws in other people, that also may be projection. Like you don't.
Yes.
He talks about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to talk about your shadow. We don't want to face things in our world, so we put it on everyone else so that we don't have to face what's in us.
If you have to,
that's why people focus on the outside.
If you have to keep
negative things,
telling yourself you're a good person over and over again, that's almost like you're overcompensating the fact that you don't believe that. If you have to keep trying to convince yourself of that, you don't really believe it. I don't have to convince myself that I'm doing good over and over again.
I think everyone should give themselves validation and approval, and it's helpful.
We need to do it properly.
Yeah, you got to do it properly.
But
if
to
you
do
are
it cognitively, when you're still fully broken, it's Stuart Varney or whatever that guy on Saturday Night Live was. And darn it, people like me. You know, that kind of thing. Stuart Smalley.
I agree with what you said, Ryan. I think my point was slightly different, meaning if you keep trying to convince yourself that you're doing nothing wrong, then you're not. I think that's different than giving yourself validation and approval. I think that's
true. Okay.
Almost like you're intentionally lying to yourself to try and meaning you don't really believe it. If you like when you and I give ourselves validation, acceptance, we really believe it.
Yep.
We're amplifying
we
what's
should
there.
not ignore the painful parts in us that we don't want to look at.
What Jordan's
go in
talking
and look
about,
at it and change it.
What Jordan's talking about is that cognitive effort of trying to overwhelm maladaptive programming in your subconscious.
Yeah, trying to repress what's really there.
CBT and talk therapy to a T.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right? So what Ryan's talking about is once you do know who you are and your maladaptive programs are fixed, congratulate yourself for how freaking awesome you are.
That's a good way to put it. All right, we'll keep going.
Always thinking, no, I'm good. I don't have those problems. Then if you can't see them, how can you change them? How can you deal with them? How can you become a better person? How can you change those qualities that you don't want? One of the most important things in the laws of human nature is that you have patterns, that you are compulsive. It comes from your character, these patterns that you see in your intimate relationships.
Those are all subconscious programs, these patterns.
Yep.
You always fall for the wrong person, or you sometimes fall for the wrong person. You see it in your work world. I make these mistakes. I get fired for this reason, et cetera, et cetera. And they're good patterns, but we tend to repeat over and over and over again these sort of compulsive behavior. Being aware of these patterns and being aware of these things, you can now you have the power to change them.
That's the number one thing we do. That's the number one thing we do.
Power to change them.
He almost said the word subconscious. He caught himself. It's like and then he said, what was
he was right there.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just go ahead and say subconscious beliefs, because that's exactly what he's talking about there.
Yep.
It was close.
Yeah.
You
can change them. You can put your brain in a neuroplastic state, which means it's now moldable, and then change them. That's what we do, and we do it better than anyone else I know. There's some, Marissa Peer's really good, Melanie Tony Evans. There's some really good ones though.
Climb the mountain of awareness. And I was thinking about people in my life that have climbed the mountain of awareness, and in my own life, things that I'm aware of, darkness within me that I'm aware of, or challenges or patterns I'm aware of. Taking the next step so I think becoming aware is painful, and then doing something about it is difficult. It's painful because
first part is true, second part is not true. If you know.
Hey Ryan, look at that question that the page master just put into text there. That's a whole show that we actually did once.
Let's see here.
That was looking for the
What's the maladaptive belief that turns women into boy crazy super sleuths? Seeking validation. Yeah. Low self-esteem. No bad. Yeah. It's, some women tie getting sex from men as validation. I'm desirable. This proves I'm desirable. This man had sex with me. This isn't all women, but there's a subset of women like this. And so they'll be promiscuous. A lot of times it's tied to not getting validation, love, and approval from their dad growing up. It could be other stuff too, but that's the daddy issues. And women with daddy issues are known for being promiscuous. Us guys, we have our own set of, maladaptive behaviors. We tend to, guys can become aggressive or violent in different situations, other things. So there is some things that happen more to women, some that happen more to men, but there's a lot of overlap. There's guys who seek validation through getting lots of sex. There's a lot of guys out there, actually. So
what's the show we did with that lady that was talking about the actress that was bringing the bad boys all the time?
Oh, yeah, Cheryl Burke.
Burke.
And she's been in 10 years of therapy, and she's still in therapy. Yeah, because her therapy's not working. That's why she has less effective therapy. Anyways, Cheryl Burke, do a session with me. I'll fix your stuff. I might need 3 or 4 for her, though.
I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
If you go to the Ryan Fowler's channel, the Inner Game Group playlist has all our episodes.
Yeah, type in Cheryl Burke. It's in the live tab. And I have like
2
dozen client interviews in the video section. If you want to see if this works or not, go to the video section of my page, watch the client interviews. Your jaw will drop. I got more coming up.
I think it was it sexual attraction?
What's that?
Oh, Cheryl Burke. Yeah, Cheryl Burke, childhood trauma and why women choose toxic men.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, so that ties into what you're talking about.
Which episode is that?
That is number 27.
27.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No, cool. What I said, Ryan, was I made a playlist in your channel called Inner Game Group with all of our episodes.
Oh, yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I remember now. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cognitive dissonance associated with figuring out that you're not who you want to be, and then doing something about it requires breaking what feels like old neurological pathways in my brain, trigger. You think about the habit cycle. Breaking that is difficult.
I look at it very differently, I'm afraid. So I think actually it's worse when you're not aware of who you are. When you walk around in this world with all of these false ideas about who you are, you don't even know who you are. You're wearing this mask. You're not authentic. You're behaving in the world as if you're somebody else. And you're not aware of that, but it's causing you pain. It's making you suffer because you're not aware of the real person that you are. You're not authentic.
So that's Carl Jung. He has a famous quote: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's what he's talking about here. You got it, but it's only the first step. First step is awareness, and then change the subconscious beliefs that don't serve you.
And coming to terms with
Never mind. I don't like him phrasing it that way, but we can keep going.
Okay.
Some of these dark qualities is actually a very enlightening experience. It actually can be euphoric. You go, I am an animal. I'm not this saint. I'm not this paragon that I thought I was. I'm an animal with flaws. I can embrace that. We're all like that. And it's a good thing. And feeling like you have this and you're coming to terms with it. I have a chapter on the dark side of human nature. Everybody has a shadow side. I have it. You have it, right? And
Carl Jung, you guys can Google Carl Jung shadow work. That's what he's talking about here.
And seeing that shadow side, which is something you've been repressing since childhood, and dealing with it and confronting with it is actually one of the most wonderful experiences you can have in life, because repressing all of these things is what is making you miserable in life. But coming to terms with who you are and being aware of it is actually liberating, you know?
Where does it come from?
That's what we do. Our self-hypnosis program makes you aware of these parts and then changes them, fixes them. And it is wonderful because your life will massively and drastically improve once you clear out this shadow side, the parts you're ashamed of, don't want to face.
I just disagree with his framing, because like the reason why people have addictions is because they're intentionally trying not to become aware of the things. They're trying to mask the pain. They don't want to become aware of themselves, because anytime they might tiptoe into becoming aware of those negative feelings, they feel pain and they mask it. So just saying it's liberating to understand free will.
I don't see where there's a conflict there. That sounds
so
good.
I think the conflict is Jordan understands it to a different level than Mr. Greene does. And Mr. Greene is just using some common words to appeal to people in a 2-hour show when his book is, you know, very, very long. So Jordan's right. The way he says a couple things are a little different than we would say it, but I think the intent is there if you start breaking it down.
Yeah, I think everything he says is true, but we do go to a deeper level with what we do.
Yep.
I bring that up because I've worked with enough people who I see that's the pattern in their mind, that they know something's wrong, but that's why they're addicted, because they don't want to feel that. And so I'm trying to explain that it's like, no, it's like that's their fear, is they don't believe what. And I think Robert Greene means well. I'm not saying he's malicious or anything like that. It's just I understand that people have maybe heard this advice before and they're like, well, I don't want to feel that. It's painful to feel that. And so I'm trying to say that it's when we help people see that clearly for what it is, which is a maladaptive subconscious program. We make them feel it and we remove it.
You feel it, you heal it.
We resolve it.
You got to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
You connect to it, then you send it away, and then it's gone. And next time you're in a situation where you normally get triggered and feel pain, now you feel nothing because the pain's gone.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. Like I remember there's times in the past where, man, if this girl ghosted me in the past and I'd be a total wreck, now it happens. I'm like, whatever.
So in the TED Talk by Johan Hari, where he talks about everything you think you know about addiction is wrong, he says that the reason that he has found through all his research that people become addicted because they want to choose to not be present in their own life.
Because
it's too painful. It's just too painful.
Yeah.
Okay. Melanie, she agrees with Jordan. It's painful and scary to feel and face
100%,
realities.
Yep.
We everyone here agrees with you, Melanie, but you can face them and fix them. You know, so for example, I did a lot of self-hypnosis to fix my core. There was times I felt resistance, like I do not want to do this. I don't want to do this session. And I kind of, thought about, well, why don't I want to do this? And the conclusion I came to is, what if I go down and look at who I really am, and I found out I really am a piece of shit. I really am worthless. All these things my mom made me feel, and bullies made me feel. I really am unacceptable. I really am bad, sinful, evil. I didn't want to go down and look at that. But when I went down and actually looked at that in hypnosis, I found out none of that was true. What I found out is there's a part of me that was this hurt, scared kid that no one was listening to, including myself, that no one was supporting or loving, including myself. And he needed support and love, and he needed someone to listen to him. You go in and then you heal that. And then all that negativity, that shame, that pain, that stuff you don't want to look at, it's not there anymore. And that's what we do. We have a process. The school.com platform, the MindChrysalis, again, link in the description. Go there, join that, take that self-hypnosis course. That's what it does. Get you connected to that stuff, finding out it's not true, send it away, and then it's gone. No more pain. The pain's gone.
Yep.
You might have 2 or 3 or 4 dozen beliefs like that or painful like that. You might have more. We're going to get the worst ones out first and then start working on the smaller ones, and it changes everything. I know people say, well, don't talk about your, income does not indicate or self-worth, but it's within 2 years of me doing this, my income doubled and I wasn't even trying. And then my income doubled again. That's not the only indicator or the only benefit from this. There's many benefits to this, but it's something that's quantifiable. And that's what happens. Like I clean my house more, I dress nicer, I got in better shape, all these things just naturally happen when you clean all this internal gunk that you're running away from. EC Smooth.
How you doing, EC?
One of these days I'm going to do that interview with you if you're still willing. Anyways.
Let's get back to Melanie's comment real quick. Melanie, it is painful and scary. And what we do is, as hypnotists, you get to do all the work, but we hold your hand through that work so that it's not so painful and scary.
Yeah.
We help you identify. We help you figure out what it is that's causing that trauma. And then we are with you all the way through what I like to call a guided meditation process. Most people call it hypnosis, but I'm just talking about it's guided meditation. We're there. We got the tools. We're helping you do the work. But man, after that work is done, what freedom comes next?
Yeah, EC, I'm going to email you today. Look for my email. Check your junk folder, okay? Give me about 2 hours. It'll be, I'll email you. Check your junk folder if you don't see it. Thanks.
When you face those painful feelings and overcome them and resolve that, it's extremely empowering. You feel like you are taking back control over your own mind. I mean,
yeah, you realize you have, because we don't fix you. We show you how to fix yourself, which means you do have the power to find these parts in you that don't serve you, that are painful, and fix them yourself. You can.
It's almost like you have more power than, oh wait, no, that's copyrighted.
That's my line. You have more power than you know, baby. You do.
You do have
we
more
have
power
done this
than
for
you realize.
ourselves.
Yep.
Ryan's going to charge me a fee every time.
A royalty
I say that on
fee
the
every
screen.
time you say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just get out like a jar and just put a nickel in every time. All right, and then when it's full, ship it to me. All right. So
I got 7 rolls of nickels to send you.
DBB, what do you think of people that have the need to not be noticed? Well, you got to ask why. Why do they not want to be noticed? Maybe they think if they're noticed, others will bully them or hurt them, so they want to stay small. It could be something else, though. So
or they won't like them if they're noticed. Other people.
Yeah, if they notice me, they'll reject me, and it just confirms I'm not good enough. That's toxic shame. That is the most painful emotion we have. That you're somehow falling short, somehow inadequate, unlovable, unworthy, low value, whatever, loser, failure, not good enough in some way. That is the most painful emotion we have. Toxic shame. Maybe you're trying to avoid that. Maybe you feel unsafe. If people notice me, they're going to hurt me. But it'll be somewhat different for different people. Everyone has their own nuance. So a big part of what we do is we find out why and what's the belief in you specific to you. We find out what that is, and then we can clear that, fix that. We put your brain in this neuroplasticity state where it can be rewired. We're actually doing everything Andrew Huberman says you need to do. We do that. We knew how to do it before he talked about it. It's just, but watch
now
that.
He put a name on it.
Watch the episode with Andrew Huberman from a month ago. He goes into the neuroscience, and we just so happen to be doing everything he says. It puts your brain in a state where it can literally be rewired, boom, like that. And we do it in one session all the time. Go to the video section. Go to the video section of my YouTube channel. Start watching those testimonials. Those are all real people. EC Smooth, when I was talking to him, I did 1 or 2 sessions for him, change his life forever. And he agreed to do a testimonial. We just never freaking did it. That's what my conversation with EC Smoother. He's another guy. I helped him.
By the way, we are not your typical hypnotist.
No, we use methods that are on another level.
There's just a handful of people in the world doing what we do right now. We want there to be more, and there will be more as we go, but we are bleeding edge, bringing everything together and making it most beneficial for our clients.
Yeah, Melanie.
Edge? I thought it was cutting edge.
Melanie, please, I'm begging you.
It cuts, it bleeds.
Melanie Hebert, go into the descriptions, book a 30-minute session with me. I'll talk to you for free. And then use my self-hypnosis course to change your life, because you're in a position, once you know that, that's going to empower you to help these others who are struggling.
Yep.
So do that. Not charging you a dime. Okay, please. All right. And then Jordan's talk. You could talk to Jordan too, or Tim.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. EC, we keep missing each other, but dude, EC's a cool dude. I would just love to chill with you again, EC, on Zoom, whatever. EC is actually a really cool dude.
We have gone past our time.
Yeah, we've gone way past. Okay, so all right, to sum up Robert Greene, we got to do a part 2 because he has so much more good stuff. Learn what your true nature is. Accept it. Learn what that is, and then learn what subconscious beliefs are, which are different. It's like one is like hardware, firmware in your brain, and then the other is software that can be rewritten. Rewrite the software to optimize your world, and then the hardware, the stuff that's hardwired, just this hardwired instinct, our nature, who we are, use that to your advantage and embrace it and accept it. And know which is which. And then, yeah, you're welcome, Melanie. Hope to talk to you soon. There's a link for a 30-minute consult, no charge.
Real quick, Ryan.
Learn it and then fix the parts that don't serve you.
March 18th, 2023, we did our first Inner Game Group show. It's now March 23rd, 2024. We've been doing
one whole year.
Oh, snap, 1 year anniversary.
So cheers, guys. It's been a great year.
Very exciting.
We're going to make it.
Yeah.
Almost every week.
You know, I got to tell you guys, you know, Psych Hacks, Dr. Orion Taraban, his YouTube channel, 3 years in, now it has like 440,000 subscribers. For his first 10 months, he only had 40. We're at a year in, and I did have the YouTube channel like started it like 3 years ago, but we only really started active content like a year ago. And yeah, we're at 751. So I think we're ahead of schedule compared to Dr. Taraban. And he, by the way, Psych Hacks, his channel, great channel. Okay, so yeah, we really got to do this.
Got to do a part 2.
We got to do a part 2 because everything he's talking about is really, really key, really, really important. And honestly, I do think he's actually a pretty compassionate guy. He writes about all these dark parts of human nature, the 48 laws of power, narcissism, writes about it. We need to know about it. So bare minimum, we can protect ourselves from others who are, you know, using these dark traits against us, you know, but yeah, understand who you are. It's extremely important. I'm gonna audiobook The Laws of Human Nature and 48 Laws. I'm gonna audiobook that in the next 2 weeks. So I'm a big fan of his now. But that's our show for today. Self-awareness, and then the parts that don't serve us, changing it after you get the self-awareness as to what those are. It will change your life. It will absolutely change everything. So you got the power to do it. Once you do it, you can have a great life, and you do have the power to fix these parts in you that aren't serving you, because you truly do have more power than you know. And that's our show. Thanks, guys.